All right, from now on, everything is recorded. Happy New Year, everybody. I think everyone here already know who I am. My name is Wenjia, and I'm glad that we are having our community meeting again. So let's go over the agenda for today. Most important thing, congratulations, SCD, to join CNCF as an incubating project. And this was announced in the previous KubeCon in Seattle. There are a couple of blogs that people could go take a look. There are a lot of informations. There were the CNC, the official blog, and there is the one that Gilho and Joe wrote, and then there's a history of SCD. It's interesting to see the rush. Congratulations to Brandon and Xiang and Alex, who were the founder, and thanks to everybody who have contributed and bring SCD to this far, and there's still a long way to go. And then the next topic, I just listed all the SCD topics that happened in the previous KubeCon. I have some friends that are saying, oh, there are so many SCD talks. Apparently, SCD is becoming more and more important. And so I added the slides and video here for the community to take a look if you're interested. And after that, we have actually quite a bit of topics to cover today. Let's start with the first one, introducing some important people from CNCF. It looks like is, oh yeah, you guys are both here, thanks. So let me see, Luke Perkins and Chris, I hope I don't pronounce it too bad, Aniszczyk? I'm sorry.
Everyone calls him Chris. Chris A is fine. Everyone calls him Chris A.
Chris A. Okay, Chris A.
I'll take that.
All right. Yes. So Luke Perkins is the developer advocate of CNCF, and Chris A is the CTO and COO of CNCF. It's our pleasure to have both of you here. So do you guys want to start to talk about something from your side?
Okay, I mean, I guess I'll start introducing myself. Hey, let me see if I could share my video. There we go. Hey, hey all, good to meet you. We're glad to have etcd part of CNCF. So you know, there's a bit of work we need to do to kind of get etcd fully integrated into the foundation and kind of using our services. So we're looking kind of forward to working with you to kind of figure out that from the domain transfer to discovery.etcd.io and so on. So just kind of want to say hi, and anytime you need anything, feel free to reach out to me directly or use our service desk, which I'll link to in a bit. And Luke, maybe you want to say something? Yeah, you're mute.
Yeah, sure. So thus far, I've mostly been just helping with the documentation website, things like that. But I want to make it clear that you know, we at the CNCF, we see ourselves as offering essentially anything the projects need. So in that link that I shared for that service desk, there's a list of kind of concrete things that we offer in terms of there's a marketing, event management, project management, and so on and so forth. But really, Wenjia wanted me to come on and talk a little bit about what we offer. But I guess that the real answer to that question is, you know, we don't typically refuse reasonable requests for help. So any kind of help that you all need in terms of your everything from your CI setup to website needs to a potential like conference maybe in the future, we're happy to have that discussion. So yeah, any help you all need or any questions you have, just feel free to.
You're muted, Wendy.
Wenja, you are muted.
I'll mute. All right, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just want to say it really impressed me that we were trying to do the website thing, and then and then Luke got this email from Luke saying that he has already done so much, and he showed us this website which looks great, and then he did all this effort to help us. Thank you very much. I didn't know we can get so much help from CNCF. And I think continuously we'll ask you guys a lot of questions and get help from you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. No problem. Let us know if you need to like migrate mailing lists or anything like that. I think you use Google Groups, so I don't know if you have any interest in moving to. We have a separate system that is not Google Groups, which could be useful for people that can access Google Groups in their respective countries.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I have been having that questions. That'd be great. Yeah. Then the next two topics, initiatives.
Wenja, can I interrupt for a minute, if you don't mind?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, thanks. So, hey everyone. This is Sadhu. So I put this. I know I had a question in the agenda. So I put this agenda item about the website. So now the KubeCon we talked, and there was an email I know Guho forwarded to me a couple of days back, right? So I was just wondering about the website. Do we need help there? I know it seems like the website, the new repo is out there now. Do you have any work items out there for any of us to contribute there, or it's all sort of migrated nicely and it's good to go, and we just sort of go from there with new documentation, or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I think it's necessarily going to have to be a mixture of both, because I've read through a significant portion of the existing documentation, and some of it is, some of it is contains information very specific to CoreOS and CoreOS features and things of that sort. I mean, I think that there's definitely going to be a whole lot of copying and pasting. Very, very intelligently done, but I also think that that this would be a good opportunity to potentially rethink the content organization, rethink the content strategy, if you all would like. It doesn't have to be a hard Control-Alt-Delete refresh, but I do think that for a lot of projects in the past, that the transition from being under a given vendor, a given organization into the CNCF has been a good opportunity to rethink strategy along those lines. So I think that's a kind of wishy-washy answer, but I think that the dual approach tends to be best for large projects like this.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is that in the CoreOS.com build system, we took stocks off of each tag, and we created information hierarchy for each release of the project. And then we took the markdown out of STD source control and then applied information hierarchy, so like the navigation and stuff, and then put it onto the website. And I don't think any of that work has started. I don't know if Luke has started to think about that or not, but that's going to be important to essentially get SEO to the built documentation website.
Yeah, I do think that that's a discussion that we should start as soon as possible, and I'm open to a variety of approaches. I've done the versioning system in Docs a lot of different ways. Git tags. I mean, personally, I tend to prefer just having subfolders within the actual source itself. I think that tends to be the less headache-prone approach, but I'm open to whatever. And I do think that versioning is one of those things that we need to get nailed down sooner than later.
All right, how about we start to create an issue and start to organize things, like track things in the issue. I think at the first, probably, as Luke said, there will be a lot of copy and paste, but the community should start to be aware that if there is documentation change, they would want to do it in the website repo, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to like super clarify. There shouldn't be much copy and paste because almost all the docs exist in the STD repo. So
Okay.
yeah.
All right. We can probably start to, with the issue, we can start to list the things that we should be doing, and would be a lot of things like good for the first time community members and stuff.
Yep, sounds great. Yeah.
All right. Gilho, since you were working on the website, do you mind starting the issue?
Yeah, me and Sadef can start like tracking it on the GitHub issue.
Okay.
Yep, sounds great. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Then the initiative underway with CNCF support and the AFER correctness analysis. This one, I'm not sure who edited that. Whoever edited.
That was added by me. Before putting STD into the CNCF, the maintainers had a discussion on a private thread about things that we wanted from the CNCF, and we need to get that doc like created as issues on the STD issue tracker. But the two things that we're kind of starting with are the correctness audit by AFER, which I made the introduction to Kyle to Yuho last week, and then the Discovery.std.io service is currently ran by Red Hat engineers, and essentially me and somebody else is on call. And so there's a bunch of design and infrastructure issues that we're working through and hoping to get the first meeting with the CNCF scheduled either the end of this week or next.
Hey, Brandon, do you know the rough costs of running that service, by the way?
Right now it's 5 virtual machines that are fairly large because it's getting like 25 requests a second against an STD cluster. So I think they're larges to get enough IOPS.
Okay.
So I don't know the cost, the AWS cost, but it's 5 virtual machines. I think they're in larges with SSDs.
And load balancing. Yeah, so I'm just trying to figure out rough costs because we're going through AWS now, and they're asking for this kind of information for credit donations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My strong preference would be that we'd run it on a Kubernetes cluster with the SMB operator, which would not change the cost, but at least change the infrastructure. But that's all stuff we need to discuss.
Okay.
Yeah, Brandon, I owe you an email in response to your question for V3 Discovery, so I'll get that after the.
Appreciate it.
And I haven't heard back from Afir, but I will sync up like with him after this meeting. I'll ping him again.
Okay.
All right, and then the creation of the Google group list, the STD maintainers.
Yeah, so I created this list to make it easier because we had all these private threads before the CNCF contribution, just for internal stuff that it's a public list, but just for stuff that's like project kicked off and stuff that doesn't necessarily need the same STD dev.
All right, thank you. The next one, Sam, could you talk about the GRPC Gateway security issue and patch release?
Sure. So we got a security disclosure through the CoreOS security email address, and when we started looking through it, our initial review, we couldn't reproduce it, but then with help from the reporter, we were able to, and it's actually a pretty tricky situation. I'm going to share my screen. I just have a few slides, just real rough, to go over how this works and kind of our response. Let's see. Could you unshare, please? Anju? Just like all live demos, my monitor just went dead. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We can hear you, but we don't see the screen that you showed me earlier.
Yeah. I may have to pop out and come back. Give me one second.
Is Joe Betts? Is he around?
No, he's not here yet. He'll be. Yeah, he is stuck somewhere. He's vacation, but yeah, he was supposed to come back today, but he's back tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
so since Sam finished this PR, like we need to backport, and that we need a patch release. So we need to coordinate with Joe and me, and then someone in Core West, the San Francisco office, to cut the release.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the next patch release for 3.2 and 3.3, or?
Yeah, hopefully next week.
Okay.
Yep.
So, Chris, while we're all waiting, maybe you can tell us how to pronounce your name correctly.
Aniszczyk is the Americanized way, or Aniszczyk, if people are interested in the Polish way.
Got it. Aniszczyk.
All right. Seems like
Still,
Sam's screen is there.
it's getting there.
It was there for a second,
Yeah.
and then it all went dark. Very, very dark, Sam.
After the meeting, I'll share some slides I had, and I have a couple of scripts that can basically reproduce the issue. But basically,
do you want to send me the slide, and I'll share my screen?
Yeah, that would probably be good. There's only a few slides, and it's just basically to go over the demo is going to kind of show the issue, but I'm going to send that to you right now. Thank you.
No problem. Just let me know which email you sent to.
Do you have a preference? I can send it to your Gmail or your Google.
Gmail, please. Thank you. All right, got it. Yeah, you can go ahead and start talking. I'll start to share.
Okay. All right. So basically, are you sharing yet?
Not yet.
Sorry.
Share. There we go. All right.
Okay. So basically, all right, go to the next slide, please. This is just a really brief outline of how GRPC Gateway works, but basically when we make a REST client request to the endpoint that's kind of exposed by GRPC Gateway, in this example, it's a user. What was happening with common, when we have client common name authentication enabled, when this process takes place, the reverse proxy uses the etcd server, client server certs. So in the case of those client certs having a common name, like let's just use, for example, etcd, and that name, in that common name, also was associated with a user. So if the etcd user had been created and given permissions, if a request through the gateway was made, that common name was used as authentication. So that was, pretty tricky. What's even worse is it doesn't require a common name from the client. So they could send requests with no common name. Regardless of what it sent, it would use the common name of the certificate from the server. So what we had to do was see how, so I guess if you just want to go to the next slide, this is just basic information. But this is an example of RPC Proto, and this is kind of where we define the endpoints. In the next slide, please. And then this is just, from a put, this is, the proto definition for the request. And just one more slide. And then this is just the machine generated code. Now, so there's no way for us to kind of adjust anything at this point because this is machine generated. So what we ended up doing was when the request was made from the proxy to the server, there was some defining header information, basically telling us that the request was from the internal GRPC gateway to the server. So in the PR, what we did is we isolated, if that header information existed, we would just drop out the request, the authentication details to the server. So that would protect the server in that case. But so it is a tricky situation. It would require a few different things to take place. Like I said, the common name in the server would have to be a user with authenticated rights. And also, even in that circumstance, you'd have to have common the client authentication, common name enabled on the server. So there were a few things. As far as the solution, I think it's a fair solution. Maybe in 3.4 we could look at. I tried to make the solution as unevasive as possible, but in 3.4 we may want to consider that having a common name with client cert auth enabled for the server, it may be something that we wouldn't allow the server to start with. I looked at that solution and I just felt, at least with the patch release, that this would cause quite a bit of breakage if this was an existing setup. But I had some questions with that, and I guess we can talk about it further. I don't want to take too much time, but I'll just put it out there that because we, on each request, we check, the server checks the certificate each time. I guess my question would be, in the case where it started without a common name, if we then updated the cert with a common name, I don't know how the server would respond. So that's something we should think about for 3.4. But this is the general gist, and I don't want to take too much time. So if anyone has questions afterwards, I can provide reproduction scripts and all that. Anyone have any questions?
Hi, Sam. Can you create an issue in ICD repo about your alternative solutions so we can discuss more?
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks for the rundown, Sam. I guess my other question, and we can discuss on the issue, is I don't know if we ever made GRPC Gateway GA, and I don't know if it's still the best solution to get JSON out of gRPC.
Yeah.
I don't know if any other solutions come along.
We looked
just
at
through observations.
No, absolutely, and we did look at one solution, but at this point it still required something like Nginx. But yeah, and I also talked with Gyuho about the possibility of in 4, deprecating removing the gRPC gateway. And I know that there's a PR open now to allow disabling it on the server level. So these are things that are currently out there.
That we added it was because we were gRPC was so new at the time, and the tooling around it was kind of stopped from debugging. And I think that story has been slowly improving. So it's definitely a discussion to have with the community.
Yeah, I agree. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Sam. Xiao, you want to talk about this?
I'm Xiang from Alibaba. So I want to talk a little bit about the ICD scalability updates. So some background for us. So we are working on supporting very large Kubernetes clusters at Alibaba to support the e-commerce.
Hey, Xiang, you're coming in further away. It sounds like you're kind of far off. I don't know if it's you're not close to your microphone or what. At least for me.
Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I need to get close to the microphone.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Yeah, so we are working on supporting very large Kubernetes clusters. And so many people are thinking that ICD is the only issue. I hope it is the only issue, but because I can fix it, but there are many more issues than ICD. But today I'm just going to talk about the issues we found in ICD. So we want support more than 10K machines in a single Kubernetes cluster. So we need to scale the data scalability of ICD. So here are some very early results I want to share. So from the machine point of view, we use pretty good machines with NVMe SSD and 16 physical cores and a few gig of memories. So the workload we are trying to scale up is very large keys, and we have more than 5 million keys in total, and the database size is 15 gigabytes of data. That is, I guess, 10 times more than the typical ICD size we see in production. And we have tried mixed workload just to simulate the Kubernetes workload. So it's 5,000 key puts per second and many more key puts, key gets per second. That is now the the average workload we see from the Kubernetes cluster. That is a peak workload. we can see from our Kubernetes cluster, and we try to stress out the etcd cluster with this peak workload for 3 hours, and we do the etcd compaction every 5 minutes to compact all the keys, and the result we can get is we can get the P99 latency 15 milliseconds, and this is good enough for us, and we can get the warm restart within 1 minute. This is because we sometimes need to hold updates for etcd clusters, so we sometimes need to warm restart the etcd cluster. And in this case, the page cache is still there, so it's pretty fast. Like 1 minute, we can restart etcd cluster, and etcd can rebuild its internal index. And for the code restart and recovery, it takes 3 minutes. This case is when you remove etcd because the machine is down or for whatever reason, and you add a new member into the cluster, right? That will trigger recovery. That will take less than 3 minutes. The main issue is limited by I/O bandwidth. So we have a 10 gig network link between each machines, so we can actually recover pretty fast. But maybe on the cloud environment, it will take a longer time. So we are pretty happy with the current result we can get, and we think that etcd is in a good shape to support very large Kubernetes clusters. And during this test, we found a few etcd issues, and we are going to probably create a few etcd issues in upstream and fix them on upstream. We now have an internal fork of etcd, and we already fixed a few things there, and we are still testing out. So the biggest issue we found is the BoDB free list issue. So the BoDB keeps a free list to track all the free pages, and the free list operation is a ON operation. So once you have a large database and once you start to delete keys, the free list grows, and when it grows very large, the operation is very expensive. It can take up to 8 seconds right after compaction when you remove the keys, right? So, like one put can take up to 8 seconds. That is not like what we can afford, right? So we want to reduce this. We explore a few operation methods to reduce the latency. So we reduce the complexity from ON to login with B+3 indexing, and we also use some like to process the continuous pages or use segregated lists for faster search. Those are like common like tricks for the allocation management. So we after those tricks, we get pretty good results. So we will soon start fixing those issues in the upstream repo. So that's what I want to share. And there are many other Kubernetes issues. Probably we'll share those in Kubernetes skill meeting.
That's a interesting update, Xiang. Have you could you give a high level of what the big difference is as far as data structures between vVolt and Badger? I haven't really looked at it.
I tried Badger. The Badger is better because it doesn't need to manage all the free pages. Badger is like RSM based database, right? So it's keep on writing keys to the log file, and when it's reclaim the space, it just rewrite the entire log file, right? So it doesn't need to keep internal like in-memory data structure and everything. Like otherwise, is O1 in Badger, and the compaction actually is in background, right? But Badger will use more resource when you start the compaction. But if your machine has more like free resources, Badger is much better than BoDB. But we still like trying to fix BoDB because we feel like BoDB is more like stable, and also for the most of the cloud users, they probably only want to put more resources into the into etcd, right? When you run both Badger, you probably need 2 more like resource per etcd cluster because it needs to do the background cleanup. That is pretty expensive.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So that's what I want to update it. Any other questions?
Just real quick, did you run into any bugs with Bolt during this process? Do you guys run a fork of Bolt DB as well, or?
Well, we didn't find any bug. We just found that Bolt like it's slow, and the data structure it uses is not that for very large databases. So we need to fix BODB there. And
Okay.
we do run into some SCD bugs. I think I just followed up an issue yesterday, and that there can be a deadlock during the recovery for large database. When you have large database, it's easy to trigger that bug. So I hope to get that fixed soon.
Okay, thank you.
Well, which SCD version you guys mainly want in production?
So we run SC 3.3 in production, but for this scalability test, it's all on the current SCD master.
Okay.
So for the on SCD master, we have a bunch of fix around the read performance and also the least performance. That also helps a lot.
Okay. How about the one you created months ago, the MVCC, the better concurrency PR?
Yeah, that also helps a lot right now. So I mentioned that the P99 latency is less than 15 milliseconds. So it still seems high because when you have a very large reads, it blocks writes, right? So once we get the concurrent MVCC thing done, probably the P99 latency will be much less than 15 milliseconds because the read will not block writes.
Yeah, thank you, Xiang. Yeah, I think scalability is going to be is already a big topic for SD and Kubernetes. We do need to do a lot of things there. Thanks for the sharing. Is there anything else that we want to discuss today? All right, if not, that's it for today's meeting. And we're supposed to meet in 4 weeks. It's going to be a monthly community meeting from now on. And I think we'll just try the monthly meeting. And if we need more time, more frequent meeting, we can add more. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Thanks for organizing.
Bye.
See you. Bye.
Thank you.